Hey guys, how's it going? Back with another video. So basically today I think I wanted to talk a little bit about, so I've just started at NTNU MTC in Taipei, Taiwan, and I wanted to talk a little bit about what my first impressions are like. So, if you're thinking of going abroad to study at a language school or anything like that, if you have any questions, of course, you can let me know. So I think overall my first impressions are actually quite positive. I think at least here all the classes in Chinese. So we have Monday to Friday 3 hours of classes a day. Today's actually off because it's Mid-Autumn Festival, so I've got a 3-day weekend, which is nice. So happy Mid-Autumn Festival for those who celebrate it. And yeah, so I think the classes are all in Chinese, which is quite a big plus for me. I remember when I was starting. I remember when I was doing French and German back in school, they basically taught the entire class in English and gave us some words and grammar structures to remember and stuff like that. And the whole thing was in English, basically no exposure whatsoever. And then after 5 years of French, I came out not being able to hold even a simple conversation. But I think the plus about this is the whole class is in Chinese. Even our timetable they give us, our homework, instructions, everything's in Chinese. The teacher explains. Even when they're explaining grammars or new concepts and stuff, they all do it in Chinese. And I think the idea is that you're using it as much as possible. It really helps you to cope in a purely Chinese environment, which I think is a really big plus. And that I think is really, really good. Also, I think the teachers the teachers, I've had 2 teachers so far because I changed class. And I think that they all seem very good so far. And what they're quite good at is they're very good at describing and using visual clues to describe. So say if they were talking about the ba structure and they wanted to say I took the pen and put it on the table, well then they actually use visuals to let you know what they're talking about and help explain what's going on, which is good because it builds on what Stephen Krashen says about comprehensible input and all of that. So that's really good. And because the students are from a variety of different countries, a lot of the time, even when you're during the class breaks, the most common language you have is Chinese, because there's a lot of, say, Japanese and Korean students here. Not all of them speak English, so a lot of the time, Chinese is your best bet if you want to speak to people, which is, again, I think quite good. Also for writing practice, I think that there's a large focus on writing. So if that's something you're interested in, I think it can be quite good to keep you accountable and keep you writing a lot, but it's not really the most important thing. I think because obviously you've got phones, you've got computers and so on, you can just type in pinyin or bopomofo or something like that, and you don't actually need to be able to write the characters by hand. Having said that, it is quite interesting. So it's not really something you need to do, but if it's something you're interested in, then maybe going to a school could be something good for that, although it's definitely not necessary, and I think you learn characters at quite a slow rate compared to if you did something like Heisig. On the negative side, I think it's very, very grammar heavy, which is kind of similar to my experience when I was doing French and German back in school before. I think the fact that they're explaining grammar concepts and rules in Chinese, at least it's 2 birds, 1 stone, which means you get to put the grammar on your mental map. You get to at least know what it is. And they use Chinese to explain it, so you can get more exposure. But I think that bit's fine, and I think the teachers explain it quite well. But what I don't like after is you end up doing a lot of grammar drills and exercises, which I feel is a bit of a waste of time, to be honest. I feel like if we spent the same amount of time just reading instead of doing grammar exercises, everyone would be a hell of a lot better than they are. But and the other downside, I think, is that because you're in a class with people from all over the world, and you can't really do anything about this. It's not really the university's fault, but you spend a lot of time listening to people, non-native speakers of Chinese speaking. So I think if this was your only exposure, you'd end up with quite a funny accent. Like my pronunciation's not brilliant. You've got people with heavy Japanese accents, heavy American accents, and so on. And it's if the class was most of your exposure, I think you'd end up at the end of it with quite weird sounding Chinese. So I really think. I guess for an easy fix, you just need to make sure you're either spending a lot of time with native speakers or you're just watching a lot of TV and movies on something like Netflix or YouTube in your downtime. But yeah, overall I think it's quite good. These are my first impressions of the school so far. So yeah, let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys soon.